Alrighty. Good morning, g'day, and good evening. My name is Craig Whitney. I'm the founder of Next Level Coaching and the Legacy Forge podcast. Welcome to this very special episode. This is a Boxing Day episode or Christmas Day, depending on where you are in this beautiful planet. Yeah. First up, like and subscribe. Find me on Spotify and Apple Tunes, and of course, YouTube for the video and any audio for those YouTube lovers. So today I have a very special guest with me. Her name's Katherine Bob, and she is pretty much the founder of somewhere around the cost of people pleasing. So today's episode is it's all around the cost of not just losing your voice, but also finding it and the power of taking it back. So it's finding your voice without burning every relationship. Yeah. Welcome, Katherine, to this episode, this very special episode. How are we doing today? And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Craig. Thank you so much for having me here today. Christmas has been pretty great so far, and I'm excited to be here and share the experiences that I've had with relationships and people pleasing and losing and regaining my voice. So thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome. And you're a very powerful woman who's not just studied the theory behind people pleasing. You've lived it yourself. You've experienced it being empathetic. You've tended to attracted certain people into your life and experienced, let's say, life experiences around that. So it goes more than just reading it out of a self-help book or an academic textbook, yeah? But yeah, a lot of people talk about finding their voice. We hear this a lot. Very few talk about what it takes what it costs to lose it. Before I get into what do you do now, who you were before you learn how to speak honestly, when did you first realize you were editing yourself to be accepted?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say that the first time I kind of realized that I was altering the way that I showed up was in college. And when I was in college, I was dating a guy who was really into drugs, and he actually became a drug dealer at one point. And he's actually the one who introduced me to some of those really bad habits. And for about 18 years, I spent a lot of that time while I was under the influence of marijuana, and I tried other drugs like mushrooms, Molly, that kind of stuff. And it really got me thinking, like, I'm a smart person. Why am I doing this? And it was because he was doing it. And I was afraid to tell him, this isn't good for you. This isn't good for me, because I was afraid that he wasn't going to accept me because I didn't like the same things that he liked. And that was truly where I started realizing that this was a problem. And unfortunately, it took me quite a bit of time to actually work through that and stop doing that. Because even after college, in my career as a massage therapist and as an esthetician and lash artist and educator, I was doing things that I thought I was supposed to be doing in those roles. Like as a massage therapist, I was an empath. I took on what my clients were experiencing as my own. And it was because I didn't want them to feel that way. Because my entire life, I had always been made to feel like my word wasn't important. What I was going through wasn't important. And so I never wanted other people to feel that way. And so I would take on what they were feeling and experiencing. And part of that prevented me from being able to show up as my full self. And so even now, there are times where I'm in certain communities of people where I have a hard time expressing, or I've had a hard time expressing that I am an empath, that I do know what people are thinking and feeling because of the way that their body language is exhibiting, but then also by the way that their energy is being portrayed. For example, somebody who is nervous or scared, they have a specific way about them. Their body language may be their shoulders are kind of inward, they may be a little bit more sunken down, their eyes don't necessarily make full eye contact. And then the way that you approach them, depending on what the situation is, if you approach them with confidence, they start to, lift their shoulders and start to talk a little bit more confidently of like, "Hi, I'm so and so," rather than, speaking through the throat. They end up speaking more through their diaphragm, which is how you actually portray that confidence of, "I know what I'm talking about."
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was about a year and a half ago or so that I started making this rather rapid shift in my thinking, in the way that I was portraying myself, because up until that point, everybody kept telling me, "Oh my gosh, you're so brave, you're so courageous." But I never saw it in myself. I always thought, "Oh, this is just normal. This is just me operating at my normal level," which is overachiever, high achiever, and wanting to be everything to everybody. But I was neglecting myself in that process. And in neglecting myself, I forgot that I have needs too. And when I was not expressing that, that created these addictions, like being a part of the community that was smoking weed consistently, drinking alcohol, going to parties, and also trying to get that external validation of I am good enough when it's in
Mm.
here. And when you connect with what's up here and here, you don't need the external validation. You have it within you. You just have to remember that it's there. And sometimes it takes some really great people to remind you that you do have that power, like yourself. When I got to have a moment with you at Mega Success in November in LA, that spoke to me very deeply, because I had forgotten for a moment that I am a powerful woman, that I do have a voice, that I can be seen, and it is important to be seen and heard, because I do have a very powerful message and a very powerful impact that I want to make on the world. And without sharing that, nobody's going to know.
Exactly right. There's exactly right. And there's massive differences in actions on how we as in our groups, we aim to fit in, to be liked, to be accepted. We tend to attempt to blend into the tribe, regardless of what's going on in the tribe. So a group of party animals doing drugs and alcohol, to be accepted in that group, to be liked, I must fit in. I must be able to say, do those actions, drink, party, smoke drugs, do whatever the actions is of that tribe to be liked. However, there's a difference in being liked and being known or not known. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being known is where you become a woman, where you find your soul, you find that essence, that voice within you to go, hey, I can be part of this tribe if I want to or not. I don't have to smoke, drink, consume what the group does to be liked. I can choose not to do those actions and be or not be part of this group. I am me. I am my own identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes
Mm,
sense.
mm,
And when you do find your own power in, this is not who I want to be, or this is not how I want to be portrayed, that's when you give yourself the permission to say no to those things and
mm.
to say no to those people. And it's not that they're bad people by any means. Most of the people that I hang out with or would hang out with are very good people. They're just misguided. They have this belief that these external things are going to help them in their healing journey, or in whatever it is that they may be going through, that they feel it's a necessary thing for them. And at a time, I did feel like it was something that was necessary and part of my healing journey. And would I love to have skipped that phase of my life? Yeah, absolutely. I would have loved to have gone from where I was as a kid, which I was very confident. I was very outspoken as a kid. And then in school, I was denied the opportunity to continue to contribute in class because I was answering every question. I wasn't giving anybody else the opportunity to answer the questions or to ask questions. So I was told that I'm not allowed to ask questions, that I ask too many questions. So I silenced myself. And in silencing myself, I actually created this story that I wasn't good enough because I was silencing other people.
You
And
were
that was,
taught to obey. You were taught to sit down, shut up, be quiet, do what you're told in school, follow my lead.
yeah,
Obedience, yeah,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
And you've taken on a belief, yeah, from that, who then you've acted out on others, yeah?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So what did all this give you at the time? What's one thing that all this gave you at the time?
At the time of being silenced, it gave me
Mm,
this identity that I was too much,
too
that
much.
that I needed to dull myself because people couldn't handle me.
Mm,
And part of that was because I didn't have the best relationship with my brother as well. I always wanted to be around him. He's my older brother and spend time with him and get to do fun activities with him and his friends. And he would do things like lock me in a closet and see how long it would take me to get out. And then by the time I got out, he had locked his door and denied me the ability to spend time with him. So I ended up isolating myself. I spent a lot of time alone and used my imagination. And in that imagination, because of the way that I was treated, I felt like I was supposed to be alone, that I didn't belong anywhere. And anytime I would go into a crowd or a community, I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to behave because I didn't want to upset anybody. I wanted everybody to like me, and I didn't want anybody to think that I was bringing the vibes down or bringing the wrong type of energy into the room. So I would be the quiet girl in the back of the room. I wouldn't contribute anything to any conversation unless it was something that I was truly passionate about. And most of the time, and I'm a firm believer in deep conversations. I love deep conversations. I love talking about this kind of stuff with anybody who will have a conversation with me about it. And oftentimes, the people that I was spending time with didn't go deep. So I didn't really have anything to contribute because most of it was, oh, how's the weather? How are you today? And then it was gossiping. And I'm not a gossiper. I don't like it. I think if you don't have anything positive to contribute, whether it be something nice to say or, constructive feedback, there's no point in
exactly
having that
right.
conversation. So again, I continued to silence myself and I listened. I observed. And in that observation and listening, I was able to glean a lot of information about people in general. And it grew to this almost resentment towards people because I didn't understand why they were behaving the way that they were behaving. They would talk bad about other people behind their back. And you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if I was spending time with people who were very gossipy and liked to talk bad about people, I would start noticing like little snippets here and there of me doing the same thing. And in that self-awareness, I'd be like, oh, no, 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 no. This is not how I want to be portrayed. This is not how I want to behave. So I would shift it. But it took a long time for me to actually get in that realization and self awareness to be able to make those shifts. So, as a lash artist in the beauty industry, I dealt with women all day. and it would be talking crap about their boyfriends or their husbands or their kids or their friends. And it was hard not to engage in that conversation because that was the depth that they could communicate at. So I met them where they were at. I would have those conversations, but then I'd go home and feel just drained. I would feel awful, but it was part of the job. So I just dealt with it for 10 years and it was too much. But I got really good at small talk, which is, suppose, in a sense, a positive thing because I can have a conversation with anybody now. But I still crave those deep conversations where we're actually getting to like, what is the root of why you are the way that you are? And one of my favorite books that I've read was actually Oprah's book. It was about what happened to you to make you act and be the way that you are now and today. And so a lot of my self discovery, my research that I've done has been in trying to identify not only my own issues of where did this start, but also in other people. And with massage, being an energetic exchange, your body stores these things in different places. It stores it in injuries. It stores it in repetitive movements that you do. So your connective tissue, your fascia, it holds and stores these different energies inside of it. And I can affect that change based on the energy that I output and the different manipulations that I do with the tissue. So doing manual massage, trigger point therapy, energy work, a combination of those and using different frequencies. And all of those things, it's really great for helping them and for me being able to identify what's going on with them. But again, I was still in this mindset of, oh, I can do all of these things for you and it's for you. But if they're not ready to receive it or ready to process it, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of my energy. And so they're just going to keep coming back week after week or, month after month with the exact same issue. I want to affect change. I don't want to affect somebody in the moment and then have to do the same thing over and over again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So I
Exactly
started,
right.
so I started diving deeper into why am I trying to affect change in people who aren't ready to change? And it was because I care so deeply about how people think and how people feel, because I never want somebody to feel the way that I had been made to feel by all of the people who had hurt me, who have taken advantage of me as an empath and as a genuinely kind person. And one of my really good friends, her name's Mandolin Moses, she does a lot of faith-based coaching in relationships, both with yourself and with your spouse, your kids, your family. And one of the things she talks about is there's a huge difference between being a nice person and being a kind person. And being a nice person gets you that doormat treatment. People just take advantage of you all day, every day, and they give nothing in return. Being a kind person, which is truly where I feel like I have started transitioning more towards, is you can give positive feedback. You can be nice to somebody, but it's with those boundaries, those very
Yeah,
healthy boundaries that you set with yourself in order to move through whatever it is that situation is, whatever issue that situation is causing. So,
exactly right. Yeah, Dr. Jordan Peterson has some really good content on the difference between a nice and a kind, particularly for the men out there. He's got a famous quote, men have to learn to become an absolute monster in their feelings, their body, their anger, their rage, and then learn how to control it. And that comes through learning how to manage people pleasing behavior and not being a doormat,
mm,
being walked on. have boundaries, set boundaries, right? Communication, not toxic, abusive communication, but firm, respectful communication. I can assert my boundaries wherever I am in a clean way. And if people are triggered by that, well, that's entirely up to them and
Yeah.
their stuff, not me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I had to learn was, and this was something that I learned through a very narcissistic and toxic relationship, was that I am responsible for myself, my emotions, my responses, and my reactions. Anything that I do that may cause a reaction in somebody else, their reaction, their emotions are not my responsibility. That being said, if it's somebody that I truly care about and it's a relationship that I want to grow and nurture, I will do what I can to maybe alter the way that I say something so I'm not causing that same effect. But that person's reaction is their responsibility. If they're
Exactly right.
reacting to something I said or did or didn't do, that's a reflection of whatever is going on inside of them. And when I tried very hard to be there for this, toxic ex, it was always my fault. I did this. I did that. I didn't do this. I caused this. Well, I'm just out here trying to do my best. So if what I'm doing is not good enough, and again, I go back to that, I'm not good enough, then I'm not supposed to be with you.
Can you give me some example of some toxic traits of an ex, and give me some examples of some toxic traits that you added to the relationship? Because, hey, relationships take two to tango, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really great question. So a couple of the toxic traits that this particular ex portrayed was in a sexual sense. He would believe that it was my responsibility to always be available to him when he had that urge, which was sometimes in the middle of the night. And my toxic trait within that space was I would give it to him. And it was because I was afraid of the backlash of saying no, of setting my own boundary and saying, I don't want this. I am sleeping. I need my sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to be cranky in the morning and I don't want to have that reaction. And another toxic trait was when I would do my best to hold him accountable for something he said that was hurting me. And it was, I was taking ownership of the fact that what he said hurt me, but bringing it up in a conversation of, hey, what you said here was hurtful. And it hurt me in this way. And this is how it made me feel. Not, you said this, I don't like that, don't do it again. It was, hey, this was a problem for me. How can we navigate trying to not be in that same position? So in that sense, I felt I was trying to set healthy boundaries in having this adult conversation, this difficult conversation, but trying to hold him accountable for the really disrespectful things that he would do or say. He would throw it back in my face and tell me that I was supposed to be on his side, that I was supposed to support him in his decisions and everything that he did. And again, going back to that people pleasing, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. And I went back to that I'm sorry a lot because I was made to feel as though my opinion didn't matter about the things that he did or said. Another toxic trait was he would oftentimes steal. And it was in those moments of stealing that I could tell he got this adrenaline from it. And I didn't like that. And I made it very clear, I don't like this about what you're doing. It's not right from just an ethical standpoint, but it's also, it doesn't make me look good as a human being because that's me attached to the thing that you're doing, especially if I'm right next to you and you're doing that. And again, he would come up with an excuse that was, well, this is how I am able to financially support myself in the lifestyle that I like. And I go, oh, well, that makes sense. So again, I would just allow it. And so those were just some of the few things that I engaged in that I felt were toxic on both sides. And when I would try to go back and make corrections to it, it was too late because he had already trained himself and me in that behavior, and he didn't want to change. And
Exactly right. Yeah.
yeah. And so eventually,
Yeah.
I had to leave.
Thank you for sharing that. People pleasing. Yeah, it's it's not a weakness. It's often loyalty without consent or forced loyalty. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put
Mm.
it. That's a
Mm,
really
mm,
good way to put it.
mm. It's quite interesting when you break it down. Yeah. So what's the hidden contract people pleasers are operating under? You believe?
The hidden contract that I think people are in when they're people pleasing is that if I do this for you, or if I fulfill this need that you have, then I'll finally be good enough. Then I'll finally be chosen and loved the way that I love you.
Mm,
And I heard a quote a while ago that really started changing my mindset around people pleasing itself and in my actions and self reflection. And it was, as a people pleaser, look at all of the people that you're trying to please and tell me how many of them are actually pleased with you. And that was a really tough reality for me to get into because a lot of the people that I was trying to please, my mom, my brother, my dad, my significant others, I was trying to fill a need and a space within whatever reality they felt I was supposed to fit in, rather than creating my own entity and my own space in this world. And you're never going to fit that perfect role for anybody. The only person that you can fulfill that role for is yourself. And it took me 34 years to realize that. And it takes a while and a lot of self reflection and effort to make changes to that. So,
exactly. So, at what point does being nice become a form of self abandonment in your experience?
in every way possible, it literally in every way possible.
Go deeper on that if you would.
Yeah. Being, being nice, you're saying yes to things that may not be in your best interest. For example, I've had quite a few people release books on Amazon in the recent months. And I say, yes, I'll go buy your book. And I read it and it's great. But those are all distractions from where I truly need to be. Or saying yes to drugs, alcohol, being lazy, sitting on the couch, watching TV all day, things like that, or waking up late, sleeping in, not taking care of your internal health, whether it be mental by doing meditation, journaling, going to therapy, doing your form of therapy, whether that's like exercising or just going out and sitting by the beach or going scuba diving. That's one of my therapies. And saying no to those things in order to do something for somebody else that may not be serving you. Like
Mm.
spending your time, like spending 3 hours on the phone with somebody, just listening to their problems. And while there's nothing wrong with listening to people's problems, if they're not there for a solution and they're not there to add value or add some sort of cooperation into, hey, I'm here as a friend and I'm here to listen to your problems, but I only have a certain amount of time. And again, I'm setting a boundary. So, for example, earlier this week, I spent 3 hours on the phone trying to help somebody through funnels and automations. And while I'm more than happy to do that with somebody, that 3 hours was time that I could have been spending writing my book or working on my podcast or working on myself. And again, that's not setting a boundary. And we all slip up. Nobody's perfect. But it's in recognizing that you've done that and saying no more of that and holding yourself accountable to put yourself and your priorities first. And oftentimes people will say, oh, well, that's super selfish. Well, it may be. But we as a society have been trained to believe that selfishness is a bad thing. When you are taking care of yourself to your optimal ability, you have the right mindset, you have the right gut health, you have the right amount of energy. Then when somebody comes to you with something, instead of pouring into them from a half glass, which is what you would be if you weren't taking care of yourself, you're overflowing from an already full cup. I spent the time on myself to work on my boundaries, how I feel. I got the right amount of sleep. I fueled my body and my mind correctly with the things that I'm consuming. So now let me give you advice and my time and my energy where it's no longer something that is affecting me negatively. I'm not attaching myself to an outcome. I'm giving freely rather than giving from what could be time spent on me and helping others who actually want a solution.
Just notice this for a second. I've noticed your state shift right there and then, and this is the power of posture, right? Earlier, you were using language words, and this is the power of language, like trying, right? Trying is nothing. Tony Robbins has a great quote on it, and a great example on it for many years on the power of trying to pick a pencil up. You just pick a pencil up. You don't try to pick it up. And what I noticed is when you shifted from this state of trying to this state of being, your whole state, your energy just shifted. It's like you come from here, cognitively figuring things out, helping someone through a 3-hour discussion of life, funnels, tech, whatever the discussion, to suddenly go on here, okay, I'm freely giving to serve. If you want to change, great. I'll tell you, let's do it. But if you're not willing to change, well, we can't work together. That's the power of it. Yeah. Notice that state change in yourself. Yeah. And notice the language that you use. A little bit of ad hoc coaching in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
love it. It's raw.
Language leaves clues.
It does. It absolutely does. In not just the words that you choose, but also the way in which you use them.
Mm.
Um, so often
Judge.
when people aren't confident in the things that they're saying, they'll have a higher tone. It's coming up from the vocal cords up in the throat rather than, like I said earlier, rather than from the diaphragm where your confidence comes
Mm.
from. Your sacral chakra or your gut is where you hold your confidence. And when we have a lack of self or a lack of confidence, it ends up coming from our throat because it's like, oh, we want to be heard. We want to be heard. Well, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I've been through. I know what I can do to help people. That comes from your gut. And oftentimes, women and people pleasers in general, they often have gut issues because they don't have that self confidence in themselves. They don't have trust in themselves to be able to help themselves or help others. And I have suffered a very long time with gut issues. And part of that came from back in 2010, I actually had a spine surgery and they went in through the front to remove my disc. And since then, I've had all kinds of gut issues. But that's a whole nother can of worms that came with that surgery where
Mhm.
I was dealing with abandonment. My first boyfriend at the time abandoned me when I needed him the most. I was crippled. I couldn't walk. And all I would ask him for was, hey, can you just bring me some food and spend some time with me? And he would say no. He was going to his friends to study, but that was code for go do drugs. So there was a lot of mistrust in myself to make good decisions with A, the people that I was spending time with, or B, that the choice I made to be part of the gymnastics team was a wrong choice. So there was a lot of issues that stemmed from that, not just from the physical aspect of having that injury, but then there was also a lot of emotional baggage and storage that happened within my gut. And it just created this laundry list of issues. And I mean, I could talk about health and gut all day.
Yeah, the gut's the most important. It's the central part of our body. Um, Something I've been focusing on in the last 12 months is my gut health, and resetting my gut and outsourcing that to knowledgeable resources. But yes, certainly the gut. And you're right. There's certain traits that people pleasers have. They talk from the throat and not or the chest, and not from the diaphragm. Um, JT's really good, and what has taught me, and he will teach you as you dive deeper into that journey on how to read people, eye patterns, body language. People pleasers tend to lean towards their eye movements towards the right, that I've noticed, which is
Hmm.
visual constructing things. So they make things up and then they lean down into the emotion. So when you drop your eyes below the horizon, you're dropping into your body, into your emotions. It's a signal in high stakes negotiations that you can't handle the consequence or the outcome. These are interrogation tactics, by the way, that I've learned through JT and through other experts in the field. The academics can argue all day long, but I go with what works and what I've observed that works in the moment. But yeah, there's so many things, and body language is key as well.
Hmm.
Uh, People pleasers tend to be more slouched down and more defensive, more reactive and responsive. Although narcissism is very harder to spot, and that's another topic for another day. Public and private narcissists, empaths, if they've lived that experience and documented, not just in the body, in the mind, they can read it really well. Yeah. So there's certain patterns there um, that I observe a lot. But as someone who's been around JT, probably 15 months now, I've been through the gauntlet a few times over, um, particularly this year where JT has come through me like a reckoning wrath, rebranded me, um, the typical JT style. Love him like an older brother. Um, he's the older brother I never had, and I openly admit that to him, whether he brushes me off or not. I'm not phased, but that's how I genuinely feel and the respect that I have for him. But he's taught me the skills on how to read people pleasing behavior in particular, and when people are being a show pony as a client rather than doing the deep dive work that's needed for coaching. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Makes a lot of sense.
And then I imagine that in your space that it's more common than not to find people who go into that people pleasing when they become a coachee because they want to please you. They want to say, "Oh, look at me. I've done a good job."
A lot of people I've worked with have come from the Tony Robbins space and the rah-rah and the motivational and the seminarial type, and they're just brainwashed into the fact that I'm going to turn the music up and turn it into a whole nightclub and do some cognitive strategy with them. Although I'm trained in NLP and all that sort of stuff to do that, I don't want to do that. Since being around JT has pretty much shifted my whole identity from the once life coach who I thought I believed I was to now the identity strategist, where I can go, right, well, I'm not going to bring the hype. I'm going to shift people's identity because I want to go back to the young Tony Robbins era of the mid 90s, early 2000s, where the studies were done on relationships, 5, 10, 15 years after working with Tony, of observing the long-term committed change and the transformation in people. That makes sense. Not the 3-month or the 6-month or to the next seminar temporal change. My
Yeah.
intention is legacy. This behavior stops now type change. The new life starts now. No more shit. No more excuses, for the better term. Your new life starts now. You want it? Great. Let's go. If not, well, I can't help you. Yeah.
Yeah. And that can be hard for a lot of people, I imagine, to shift into quickly because they are used to that
People
almost
pleasing. Cuddle me, cuddle me, cuddle me,
Yeah.
cuddle
Yeah.
me. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. It's like, no, well, look at your life circumstances, bro. I mean, everything's not going to be okay. You got to
Yeah.
make a decision now. Like,
Yeah.
some of the men I've worked with are on the border point of going to jail, and they just want to be coddled. It's like, no, bro. Life starts now if you want it.
Yeah.
Change starts now. Yeah. It's an interesting predicament on the whole people pleasing, and I've gotten really good at reading it since being around JT. I think JT, for me, has, for the better term, honed my skills, taken me out of the classroom and into the environment where I get to sharpen my skills. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Back to people pleasing. What do people get wrong most about setting boundaries? We've kind of covered what boundaries are. What do people get wrong about them?
Well, I think it depends on the person, like the perspective. So the person who's setting the boundary, it's not there to keep people away. I think that's a key piece in setting boundaries. A boundary is put up when you feel like something doesn't feel right, but you want to preserve that relationship, especially if it's within the relationship. And when you're setting that boundary, it's not, I don't like that you're doing this. That's a demand. It's I don't want to feel this way. And this is something that's causing me to feel this way. So the boundary is, let's not do things like this, or let me see how I can make a shift so that I don't respond or react to this particular type of behavior, rather than, I don't want you to do this. A boundary is for me. A command is, don't do that. A boundary is, if you do this again, I'm going to leave. A command is, I don't want you to do that.
The funny thing about commands is our subconscious mind doesn't register don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
If you've studied in the realm of NLP and that, the subconscious mind, go tell a child, don't do something. What do you think is going to happen?
They're going to go do it.
So the subconscious mind, if we're talking in code language, it deletes the word don't and registers do, the
Mm,
next word.
yeah.
So
Well,
you tell a
it goes back to it
teenager,
goes back
don't
to
smoke.
yeah,
Yeah.
it goes back to how you use words.
Yeah. It's language. Language leaves clues. I
Yeah.
love it when parents are getting up their teenagers, don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke. I'm like, well, bro, first up, you got a cigarette in your hand. So look at your own behavior. What are you modeling in your own house? And second of all, your child's not registering don't as a command. It's only registering do. So you're
Right.
repetitively telling your child, yes, do it. And you're anchoring in with your actions. So if you want to change behavior, change your own behavior,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
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 Modeling, power of modeling and language. And the
Yeah.
power of boundaries. So yes, I certainly agree the difference between command and a boundary, although a boundary for me is okay, that kind of hurt a little bit. Please don't do that again. Or that didn't feel comfortable. Please don't do that again. It's only for me that gets 2 or 3 times. Okay, you've breached this boundary a number of times. I'm going to leave. Because remember, boundaries can be used as ultimatums as well. And ultimatums are not healthy for relationships either. Yeah, would you agree?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. An ultimatum is something that creates a wall in a relationship where just like that monkey brain that we have, it says, "Don't do this." Well, I wanna test that limit. I wanna do what it is that you're telling me that I can't do. It goes back to that mindset of, "Well, you're telling me I can't do it, so I'm gonna do it."
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, what happens when someone finally speaks, in your experience, and the relationship changes? What happens?
Well, 2 things happen. If it's a healthy relationship, then the person goes, "I didn't know you felt that way. Let's see how we can work together to not get to this point again." Or if it's a toxic relationship, the other person goes, "Well, that's your problem, not mine." And then the mind goes, "Oh, well, yeah, you're right." And it goes right back into that same cycle. So I think it depends on the type of relationship. When a boundary is set and somebody speaks their mind, either the person
Mm.
goes, "I didn't know you felt that way. Let's make a correction. Let's try to fix this." And that's somebody who actually wants to build and nurture this relationship with you. Or go ahead.
What happened in your experience?
It was the opposite. It was, "Oh, well, you feel that way. That's your problem. And it's your reaction to the way that I'm behaving." Well, possibly. However, you're doing things to me that are preventing me from feeling physically, sexually, financially, emotionally, and psychologically safe in every way possible. And you're putting it back on me that it's my fault because I'm reacting this way. Well, I wouldn't be reacting this way if you were creating an environment that actually said, "I want to fix this and I want to build a healthy relationship with you, and I care about your feelings and I care
Mm,
about your safety."
exactly right. Exactly right. And so, what did you lose when you stopped people pleasing out of all of this?
That's a great question. I lost the desire to put other people first. And that's not to say that I don't still care about people. I care very deeply for people, especially people who uplift me and support me in different ways. But if they're doing something that is not in alignment with how I want to behave or how I want to live my life, I'm not going to go in alignment with that. I'm not going to change my boundaries to make sure that they feel like I like them still. If they have that thought cross their mind, they can bring that up. But that's an adult conversation that could be a difficult conversation, but it's a conversation I'm willing to have with anybody because I don't want somebody to feel like I don't care about them. Because I will always care about people, even the narcissists and people who have taken advantage of me. I still care about them, but I care more about where I'm going and the impact that I want to make on the world. Because if I'm putting somebody else first, I'm not being true to who I am. I'm not
Exactly
being
right.
true to where I want to go.
Exactly right. Love the people, whoever they are, wherever they are in the moment, I should say. Change the behavior,
Yeah.
whatever that behavior is.
Yeah.
And then
And
look at yourself and where you are at the moment and model how would you like it, yeah, for
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. And if you set a boundary and the person goes, oh, whoa, I don't like this. Well, this is who I am. This is my boundary for me. And if you can't respect that boundary, I'm sorry, but you can't be in my life.
Hmm. Was there any backlash when you changed?
No,
No?
no. The only person that I had any backlash with was this toxic ex. Everybody else was proud that I set my boundaries and they continued to be in my life because of all of the positive things that I had done for them. And, oftentimes people overuse the word narcissist and overuse the word toxic for a relationship or for a specific person because it's not what they like. It's not what they're used to. Actually, true narcissists are very rare. And there's a lot of this me, myself, and I mentality. We all have a little bit of narcissism in us, but that doesn't make us a narcissist. And if you set a boundary and somebody is respectful of that, they're not a narcissist. That's them going, I still want to maintain this relationship with you. I still want
Exactly.
you to succeed. And somebody who doesn't do that and says, well, they're in it for themselves. They're in it for what's in it for me, not the better build of whatever it is you're building as a relationship, whether it's friends, partnerships in intimate setting, or business partners, or a family. It doesn't matter. It's the same. And being in a people-pleasing mindset when I was somebody different in every situation I went into because I was reading the room and trying to bridge that gap between who I actually am and what's going to make them feel comfortable. And I don't want to necessarily make people comfortable anymore. I want to make sure that they know who I am and that this is the space that I occupy. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
I totally get it. I totally get it. So what's worse, the discomfort of honesty or the erosion of silence?
Ugh, the erosion of silence, for sure. Because it's more than just you're not able to make an impact on people. It's you're losing yourself in
Exactly
the
right.
process. And it's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort to regain a sense of self. And I was actually just texting one of my friends in Hawaii. So I spent the last 6 months in Hawaii as a scuba instructor. And it was one of my passions, one of my dreams that I wanted to live out. And I did that. And being in that space allowed me the opportunity to regain my sense of self. Everybody there was extremely accepting and receptive to just be you. And in being me, I love giving. I love helping people with whatever it is that they're going through. But I learned to set better, healthier boundaries of, look, I'm here to help you. But if you're not willing to take the solution, I can only give you so many options and solutions before I have nothing left to give you.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Totally agree. Take the options while they're there because our time is finite, isn't it?
It is. And we can regenerate income, we can regenerate relationships, but we cannot regenerate our time.
Exactly right. So, how has reclaiming your voice changed the way you lead, love, or even parent, so to speak?
That's a great question. So I'm not a human parent. I'm a dog mom. And in that space, I have a 12-year-old blind dog who gets up at all hours of the evening because he doesn't really know if it's daylight or if it's nighttime. And I have learned in that space since regaining my voice of I can't allow external factors to affect how I'm going to show up. If I'm meaning to wake up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, I'm going to wake up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning despite having woken up 3 or 4 times in the evening to try to make sure he's not, you know, injuring himself, smacking himself against walls and different things. In love, I still feel the awkwardness and the uncomfortableness in new relationships. And I'm making the effort as a single woman, I'm making the effort to lead by example in being vulnerable and being authentic. And one of the things that I lost in this narcissistic abusive relationship was a trust in myself and a trust in others that I would be safe. So you can't ask for help or trust if you're not willing to give it. So in leading in that space, I am trusting them with information about who I am, what I've been through, my heart, etc., and seeing how they respond to it. And if they respond in a positive manner, then I move forward with it. If they respond in a neutral or negative manner, I usually don't. And part of that is because I, as an empath, am still able to feel their intentions. And if it's not true or pure, I have no time for it. In business and in my coaching that I do for people, again, I lead by example. I lead in expressing what my perception of whatever problem they may be experiencing is and listen for feedback. So it's not all about what I think, what I believe. It's also about what are you experiencing and knowing the things that I know from the experiences that I've been through and other people's experiences that I've researched and listened to. I'm usually pretty good at understanding the actual underlying problem is not usually the problem that they're telling me. It's usually some deeper underlying problem like people pleasing or from not owning their own voice and a fear of being seen or a fear of rejection. And you can't lead in that space. Nobody wants to follow somebody who's afraid. I mean, just look at, Napoleon Bonaparte or any of the war leaders in history. I'm not a history buff. If they were afraid or expressed fear, do you think they would have been able to lead an entire army into battle? No. Or look at the movie 300. If he had been afraid and didn't act, he wouldn't have been able to win the war.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So my next question is, who are you, Catherine?
Who am I? Oh, I am an audacious, brave woman that wants to make the most impact I possibly can on the world, that is owning every single moment that this life has to offer, whether it's positive or negative, and learning from everything I possibly can.
You are that and so much more. What's your highest purpose?
It's a great question. I would say my highest purpose is to guide people in owning their story, owning your voice, owning what you've been through, and
Okay.
showing whoever it is or whatever it was that it's not going to stop you, that you're strong enough and brave enough to overcome whatever it is that you've been through so that you can show other people that that's not it for you.
If you were to put that in one word, something you give your life for, what would it be? This is your identity. This is you. This is what makes you up in your cellular level.
Hope.
Hope. How does
Yeah.
that sit with you? This is your hill. This is your hill you'll die on. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a queen. You're a powerful queen and so much more. You give hope to other people's lives. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, what are you willing to give up to ensure hope in others people's lives?
I'm willing to give up the things that I once thought were important, the things that I felt were serving a good purpose, like video games. And I don't play very many video games at all. I play a VR game called Beat Saber, but I was making it an excuse to not work harder. It was an excuse to listen to music and dance, which has a therapeutic benefit in itself, but
Of
it
course.
was an escape. It was a distraction from being able to sit in this space of owning
Mm.
this hope. And it's funny, when I first became a massage therapist, it was because I was an athlete and I had sustained quite a few injuries. And when I broke my back from gymnastics, I lost a lot of hope in humanity, in myself, in life. And as a massage therapist, my first slogan was bringing hope back to the world, one body at a time. So it's all coming full circle.
Beautiful, beautiful. And a legacy isn't built by being agreeable. It's built by being aligned with self, with that hope. You are that and so much more. Couple more questions. We're coming to the pointy end of this episode. It's been a bit of a long one, although a deep one. And I don't put a time limit on deep conversations. It just, that's the way it goes. Who's this work for right now?
This work is for people who put everyone else first.
Hmm.
The mothers, the energy healers, massage therapists, and service providers who put everything they have into what they give to everybody else.
Mm, mm,
who
mm.
forget that they are somebody too, and they deserve that same amount of energy and love that they give into everybody else.
Exactly right. What would you say to the person listening who feels the words stuck in their throat, but won't let them out?
One of the things that I did when I felt like I had just this stuff stuck in my throat was I would actually go out to the woods or go on a dive, and I would just scream, just let it out. Nobody needed to hear it. Nobody needed to know what I was doing, but at least I was letting out that energy of, ah, and I want to hear your voice. I want to hear what it is that you have to say. I don't care if it's negative. I don't care if it's positive. I want to hear what you have to say, but be ready for my feedback. Be ready for the hope that's about to come, because if you're not ready for it, you're going to stay exactly where you are. And the pain of staying where you are, I promise you, is worse than the pain of change.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Beautiful, beautiful. And what becomes possible when someone chooses truth over approval?
Everything. The life that you've dreamed of, that you felt has just been out of reach. The
Mm,
relationship that you have or wish to have is going to be just magnetically drawn to you. The income that's been eluding you is going to be in your lap. Everything that you feel you've wanted and desired and
mm.
feel like you deserve is coming to you, because you've opened that door. You've said yes to yourself, and it's a strategic yes. I talk about this in one of my Instagram posts, that you have to be strategic about the things that you say yes to. If you're saying yes to distractions, you can't say yes to the things that are actually moving the needle forward. Saying no to the things that don't serve you, like playing video games or like going out on a Friday night when you should be focusing on educating yourself or moving the.
Avoidance.
Yeah, it's avoidance, and it's self-sabotage.
And
You need.
it's also looking at what's driving that behavior behind that action.
Yeah. And that's oftentimes where addictions come into play, when you're avoiding feeling something or you're avoiding the acceptance of something new. You tend towards things like addiction. And that can be in many different forms, whether it be victimhood, sugar, drugs and alcohol, sex, video games, dopamine. It's a chemical response that your body is having to not accepting or not making those changes because you're afraid.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Well, what an episode we've had today, ladies and gentlemen. Where can people find you, Catherine?
They can find me on Instagram. I'm at the Katherine Bob. I'm also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I also have my own podcast. It's called My First Business Untold Stories. We talk a lot about business mistakes that people learn from, and hopefully other entrepreneurs will learn from those mistakes to avoid those pitfalls.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you. Absolutely beautiful, amazing episode today. I'm stuck for words on it. It's went longer than what I thought, but I don't plan it. I just do up a basic draft of what I want to do, and we go from there. And there's some amazing content in today, deep conversations, some deep sharing, just the way the Legacy Forge is, uh, deep shares. I'm interested in hearing people's lessons. I'm interested in sharing people's, not just their stories, but the lessons that they uncover underneath. That's what legacy is being built upon. If we go back to the ancient Romans and the Greeks who have been immortalized, they've been immortalized because of their lessons, not because of some amazing heroic story. Yeah, that plays the effect, but it's the lessons, the scars, the mark of the immortal. And your legacy, Katherine, will become immortalized. Keep pushing through, keep breaking through. This people-pleasing behavior is an epidemic that deserves to be broken, and we can only break it by breaking it down into the sub-layers and sub-layers of what triggers, what causes, what drives these behaviors, and modeling change. And we are our own best examples to model that change. So on that note, thank you for joining us today, Katherine. Like and subscribe Legacy Forge podcast on Apple and Spotify, and also YouTube for the video and audio. And show notes will be available for all the note takers out there very soon. So once again, Merry Christmas to those around the world who are on Christmas Day. And for us on the other side of the world, it's Boxing Day. Let's enjoy time with our families, peace, and being in the moment. Until then, have an amazing day ahead. And yeah, be with you always. Bye for now.